It was an interesting weekend with a couple of classics that were actually delivered where you didn't expect it would be as close as it was. Honestly, the two games that I enjoyed the most out of the weekend was probably the Ireland-Argentina game and then the France-New Zealand game. First off, let's start with Ireland versus Argentina. That one was actually a very telling one. I think it was another example of how the Ireland team is probably not going in the right direction in terms of their approach and the way that they play the game. There was a lot less discipline from this side that has been the most disciplined, most well trained side out of all of the teams in World Rugby over the past 3-4 years. But it's just the last two games they've started falling apart a little bit. On the contrary, Argentina came very close to beating them and felt a little bad about some of the results that they got from the referee. But starting to get into the weeds with that is never going to be something that is going to change the outcome of the game. It is what it is, and you need to play around that. But credit to the Argentinians. They were exceptionally well disciplined. It's probably the best play that I've seen from an Argentina side for some time. They were down quite a bit going into the half, and it didn't look like they were going to mount a comeback, but their play was actually fairly impressive, I have to say. The New Zealand game versus France was one where I saw afterwards that there were quite a few complaints from the New Zealand rugby crowd about some of the decisions. I didn't see the ones particularly that they were upset about, but there are always a couple of ones that go one way or the other, especially when you've got a game that is as close as that. And that scoreline just emphasized again that New Zealand is getting closer. They're getting better than what they were in the Rugby Championship. They're not yet gelling completely. But there was definitely a standout in that game. Wallace Atiti, one of the players that have now been nominated as Breakthrough Player of the Year from World Rugby. I hope that he actually takes that. He was massively impressive. He started looking good in the Rugby Championships. He's evolved and he's become even better. I think he's going to be a star for New Zealand for the next decade, for sure. I hope he stays healthy because it's just so much fun actually watching him play. With the France-New Zealand game, I have to give a lot of credit to the defensive efforts of France. They were actually able to hold out a very attack-minded New Zealand team with a couple of really great runners in their squad, and they were able to stop them on numerous occasions, especially towards the end of the match. And for that, you need to give them quite a bit of credit. The South Africa-England game went South Africa's way, as was expected, but England can feel very buoyed by their performance. It's still not great, but if you have a look at the games that they've played so far in this international window, they've only lost by small margins. They've lost 3, and it's, if you have a look at the English press, that is just doom and gloom. But it's been a bit against some pretty good opposition. Australia's resurgent. The South African team is what it is at the moment, and yeah, I can't actually fault the English. I think they're actually slowly but surely building up in a healthy way, contrary to what we are seeing from Ireland. Scotland, on the other hand, is super exciting at the moment. Their result was a bit of a blowout, but it's never going to be anything else with that opposition. So the Scottish team, I think, they are turning into probably, in my opinion, the Fiji of European rugby, and it's such a joy to actually watch them play. One thing that I just need to compliment the South Africans on is that they've got 3 players out of the 4 that were nominated for World Rugby Player of the Year. You can't deny the play of Pieter-Steph du Toit or Evan Etzebeth or Cheslin Colby and the impact that they've had this year and in previous years. I'm just glad that they're getting the recognition. Whether one of them wins or not, I'm glad that they're getting the recognition. The one that was, however, the most exciting, and I don't think I have ever said this before of any Australian side, but the Australian side were probably the most exciting out of the lot over the weekend. There's something that started clicking now with Smith running the show, and they've turned into a unit that is exciting to watch, that is really putting on a display, and they are turning into a far more complete side overall. It's going to be very interesting to see how they fare in their last test, but also how they do when the Rugby Championship rolls around next year. I think they're going to be a fairly dominant force, and there's going to be a much closer Bledisloe Cup as well in the mix day. And that is something that I'm looking forward to, because it's been years since they've been competitive in that part of the competition especially. Overall though, I think there are a couple of teams that will give us exciting matches in the weekend to come, but that we'll discuss in another video.